Whisper now, okay?
Good morning, guys. Good morning. Yes, welcome back to my live stream. And yes, is this the first day of the week since the actually today's Monday. What I'm talking about, I have no idea what I'm talking about because I got a little bit distracted. My son just screamed. Okay, yes, welcome back. This is my live stream. Once again, this is the third week I'm doing it, and it's also the beginning of the third week of lockdown in London. So how are you guys getting on with the past 2 weeks? Good morning, Trevor. And how are you guys? That's really good to see some of you guys already awake and well. That's awesome, isn't it? Yeah, let me know what you guys did over the weekend and how you guys feeling in general. And me, I'm getting on. I'm okay, and I'm doing things in general. Weekend, of course, I would take a little break from whatever I'm doing. I still did a little bit of work, but majority of the time I'm trying to spend with the kids and stuff. We did a little bit of little picnic in the back garden, and so the kids loved it. But it was a little bit windy, even though the weather forecast said that we were supposed to get 21 degrees. It definitely didn't feel like that at all. It feels like 10. So we only stayed out for a little bit, and then we went back inside and continue our day. And good morning, Kenichi-san. Konbanwa? Is it konbanwa? No, I'm really, really bad at Japanese. Konnichiwa. Konnichiwa. And so how are you all doing? And yeah, so how's everybody? How is is it? Where Kenichi-san? Where are you at the moment? You're not in Hong Kong? I'm not entirely sure where you are at the moment. I hope everybody else is good at the moment in wherever you are. So it's good to be awake in the morning and feeling a little bit energetic. So that's good. So like every week, I'm gonna have a topics, like a little schedule. And so this is the schedule of the day. I am going to put it on the timer again for 30 minutes. So we're going to start the countdown once I see some of you guys are online. So basically I'm going to have a general update. Already started talking about it, how I get on over the weekend. And then I'm going to have a topic of the day, choosing your camera. And then finally is the Q&A. Oh, cool. Oh, I mean, Cebu. Oh, Cebu. Okay. Right, Philippines. Is it quite hot? Do you have some sort of lockdown at the moment, Kenichi-san? I'm not entirely sure the situations where you are at the moment, because all we hear in the UK in London is basically not so much about China. Now China's quite down a lot in terms of news-wise, but we hear about Thailand, we hear about Korea, and a little bit of Japan sometimes, more in the US now. Obviously the US is the kind of like the next big thing now, since that there are more and more cases going on there. So yeah, update me, let me know how's everything. I hope everybody's good and well at the moment. So that's all I care about during these difficult times. And so I'm hoping I'll be here to give you a little bit of entertainment, a little bit of fun for the day, to start your day. Okay, and well, depending where you are actually. if you're in Australia, and then that's probably evening now, and then if you're Hong Kong, that's probably afternoon, and here we are at 11 a.m. So good. Oh wow, Robin, you're up early. What's up? That's good to see you, Robin. Good to see you first time on my live feed on YouTube. That's very, very good to see. Is it Philippines almost locked down as well? Wow. Okay, that's not so good, isn't it? Well, I think we are quite fortunate in the UK that well, touch wood, we don't know what the announcement's going to be like later on today, but we haven't got like one of these super horrible or complete lockdown like Paris or Italy or any other places. You're still allowed to go out for a jog if you want, and but more or less we are kind of stuck. And unfortunately, yes, 7 p.m. Yeah, we're 7 hours ahead, no, behind you guys, Robin. So that's all good. Okay, right. General updates. Hope you guys are all good. Like I mentioned many times already, and I think that is basically my concern. I'm hoping none of you guys are having any horrible experience about this pandemic at the moment. So everyone is good and well. Then that's all I care about. Right, general update is fine. I'm good. My kids are good. Everybody's good. So let's start the topic of the day. So I'm going to put a countdown on right now. Okay, so 30 minutes, and I'll see if I can keep on to it. Every time I do it, it seems that I'm going to overrun a little bit. So basically, camera choice. Let's just show that again. So choosing your camera. this is going to be an interesting subject, right? And I'm not entirely sure how your view in it, because as a photographer, myself, and videographer now, and filmmakers, and choosing a camera can be very, very difficult. Why would I say that? It's easy when you have a lot of money to spend. Basically, if money is no object, you just buy whatever you want, your heart desire, right? But when you're starting out, when you're a student, when you are one of those who just want to try it but not quite sure, but you don't want to spend a lot of money. There's a lot of kind of considerations when it comes to choosing a camera, and so there could be people who say, oh, should I get one of the semi-pro camera, or I should get one of these lovely looking camera, a slightly older camera, or just go all out and get one of these big boys, just to spend everything that I could afford and just get one of these guys. So there's a lot of questions there. Well, like I mentioned, first of all, you have to evaluate how much you want to get into photography. Whether you really want to pursue photography as your serious hobby, or you want to be a career in photography or filmmaking. And you really have to kind of gauge and just take your priorities. If photography is just going to be your casual and a hobby, and it's not so much about image quality or perfection. Good morning, Marta. How are you? Ciao. Good to see you here. Good to see you join me. That's fantastic. And so we just talk about camera, and obviously there was some Q&A at the end. I want to show you some images as well. So we on the subject of talking about camera, and so whether you want to spend all out, and so if you're casual, guys, and I think the best thing is to use your phone, right? For casual guys, there are if you have one of the later phones in it, let's say starting from 2 to 3 years ago, you're more likely to be satisfied with the quality that come off from your phone in good lights anyway, and because you don't know much about photography, and then the time when you really want to step up is when you starting to have that doubt and concern that, oh, I can't get the shot that I want from my phone. That's the point when you start thinking about, okay, maybe I should upgrade to get a slightly more serious camera. But even at that point though, you shouldn't really go all out and get yourself, the best and the most expensive stuff in the world. And you still just want to get a camera, or dedicated camera, not a camera phone, like a proper camera. And regardless of format I'm talking about, just in general, just to get a slightly more advanced camera, right? Okay. The only reason is because you just don't know whether you will continue this trend and moving on to become a more serious photographer, learn a little bit more about photography, or you're just going to continue doing your casual travel kind of snapshots and things like that. So you just haven't got that idea yet. So until you really develop into a more serious photographer, and then you start thinking about, okay, maybe it's time for me to upgrade again. But at that point, I would urge you to considering two directions there. Either you can keep your current camera. If you don't think that the feature that your current camera offers can satisfy you, then by all means, upgrade to the next level up. But if the camera that you have at that moment in time is serving you perfectly well, then I would think that you should be upgrading or starting your collection of lenses to give you more flexibility and effect that you want to crave. I'm going to start another stream in another day talking about lenses, but today is all about camera. And so then you develop as a photographer, you become more and more comfortable about the settings and the whole scenarios, how you can what sort of ISO, what sort of setting you should be using for a particular scene or a particular scenarios or conditions. And then then once you develop and becoming even more confident about your photography, and then your quality improves dramatically, then at that point you may already starting to get a little bit of commissions, or starting to enter competition, or you may want to start doing something really serious about photography, like starting your own project. At that point, you can start thinking about upgrading finally for the final step. Not necessarily going for for the best, you know, but you can also go in for just one down from the best. You know, in Olympus, you know, like the EM1X, of course, is the kind of like the crown jewel at the moment. But you can also get EM1 Mark III or Mark II. These are perfectly okay professional cameras that has fully weather sealed and all the pro capabilities that has in the camera. So you can have everything that you want in that small package. So this is all you need to know and about choosing that camera. I wouldn't say right or wrong here, you know, just because I'm an Olympus ambassador, I'm talking about Olympus, but in any other camera brands, is, you know, they have the exactly the same setup. You know, in Canon, you know, of course, you know, you will have the, I don't know the numbers they say, you know, in the old days they have like 650D or 750D was a kind of lower end, and they have the like a 6D or 5D kind of like a like semi to pro level, then have the pro level like the top of the range, and there will be like 1DX and things like that, and like same as Nikon and things like that as well. So they all have similar things, and so regardless of brand, you know, choose your cameras wisely based on your level of photography or your interest or how serious you want to become a photographer or filmmaker. I actually didn't talk about filmmaking though, and let's talk a little bit about filmmaking if you are really into a little bit of videoing, you know, and because I know in terms of video is starting to come up now, and in general, so more and more photographers are now adding video to their game. It's also very, I would say, becoming more mainstream now. So there are a lot of filmmakers and dedicated filmmakers and videographers out there already doing what they're doing. But as a photographer now, and they're becoming more apparent that there are a lot of people starting to get into videography and add a little bit of that on the side of their professional photography careers, simply because there is the demand for photographer to offer video services. That's the fact, and that's a trend that will continue into the near future. You will see this sector expanding very, very quickly. So in terms of Olympus setup, you know, I can't speak on the other platforms or the other brands at the moment, but I'm familiar with Olympus gear, so I'll use it as an example. So if you're going for the lower end cameras, they may have offer obviously, actually, you know, what should I say? Every camera brands now offer a lot of video capabilities. They all shoot, I don't know, 1080, Full HD, or Ultra HD in 4K. They all kind of do similar thing, but when you start to dig into a little bit more, then you find that the high-end camera does offer you more. So if you are one of those people who like to shoot both, and then at that point, I wouldn't recommend you to go for the basic beginner level camera, only because in terms of video features, you may want to up a little bit, just get at least a little bit better options and features from the camera itself. So in the Olympus setup, you know, like I personally think the one of the best option is to get you started is the EM5 Mark III, because it's first of all, it's a very small camera, you know, like my camera is actually over on the other side, so, so it doesn't really matter. And so the camera is very, very small, just like a Pen F. It's really tiny here, and you can see how slim it is. And it has offer all the latest spec in video terms. You know, it has Full HD, it has high speed like slow motion stuff, and 1080 with 240 frames per second. Oh no, 120 frames per second. And then the 4K shooting capabilities, and even cinema 4K, C4K. So that is all good, and the autofocus on that one is really brilliant. Of course, being a small body, the only downside is a smaller battery, so you may not last as long, but you just have to prepare, so get some more batteries in your bag. So if you want to step out a little bit, then I would suggest you to either get the EM1 Mark II or the Mark III, the latest one, which I'm filming on right now. And this is good, and I use it like really every single day for everything that I produce, photography and filmmaking, and is really good. And I'm going to show you some footage in a minute. So really awesome cameras that for this type of hybrid shooting, you know, both photography and videography. Of course, you know, if you really want to step all the way out, and then you may also want to consider one of this big boy. But you know, then again, this is like when you are getting into really serious and you start to earn money from the photography, then this will be the best model. Oh, sorry, show you this. Yeah, this might be the best model to have, because first of all, you can't destroy this thing, and I'm telling you, this one can kill someone, and and it's so solid that I've dropped it a couple of times. It seems to survive okay, and it's just like a tank, and also you can almost swim with this guy, and it's so weatherproof that I've never seen anything like this before. Even with the Mark II that I used, and it did fail a couple of times, not fail, but then the couple of buttons stopped responding, but there was a really horrible conditions that I was in, and then not many camera could survive. Then I've used other brands before. I used Leica, and forget about Leica. Leica wouldn't even go to that far. But then Canon, even I had pro Canon cameras, and apart from 1DX, but the 5D and the series, they were known for their weather sealing as well. But I was in the similar kind of conditions, and even the back screen switched off completely. I couldn't even see images, and so a lot of companies always say about weather sealing, but how good the weather seal is another thing they never mention. But Olympus does give you the rating. IPX1 is actually very generous. It's very good. The latest EM1 Mark III and the EM1X that I showed you, and they are both IPX1 rating, so they are super weather sealed, and they would work in horrible conditions. If you are planning to go to travel in Amazons, and then Antarctic, go to Iceland, go to Greenland, whatever, something really treacherous, very extreme weather conditions, and these camera would be the best for you. Yes, yeah, Robin agrees. He's using his EM5 Mark III for his YouTube channel for the last, was it 20 videos I was listening yesterday. So he's been using it for a lot for doing exactly what I just said, videoing and photography. So that is a very good dual purpose camera. So that's very fantastic. So that is really good to my eye, and that's fantastic as well. So that's kind of things that I want to talk to you about. If you are into videography, I would start with the EM5 instead of the lower end, like the EPL series or the EM10 series. They are both, they can all shoot 4K, don't get me wrong, they're all good cameras. But if you want to get into videos, you may want to start looking at just slightly more advanced to get that features in there in the camera itself. Also, the high-end camera will have also better stabilizations and slightly more options in video terms, like the flat profiles on EM5 or the log files on EM1, and slightly more frame rate options, and in general just better. AF, of course, AF is one of the key things. If you're filming yourself or you're filming other people just by yourself, sometimes AF can be very useful. Right, okay, so enough for that. I've got 17 minutes, and let's talk about something else now. So if you guys have any questions, and you can also, of course, ask me about that. Let's start looking at some images. I don't even know what this is. Oh yeah, I mean, I did mention about, cameras. I want to show you this just because, that's like regardless what you use. And I did mention about phone right at the beginning, right? And you can actually use your phone to take really awesome photos. I've done multiple reviews already on some of the phone accessories that can improve your phone game. And so you can achieve really decent results with phones, and there's no stopping you from creating nice images. And ultimately, I mean, I already mentioned multiple times in my last couple of weeks streaming, just saying, it's not the camera that makes great images, it's yourself. Yes, the camera will limit you to a certain extent if you get into a scenario when the camera simply cannot perform, and that's the limitation that you face, and then you realize before, next time you know that I will need another setup for that particular shot. But so there's no stopping you from there, because in phones, I mean, I'll show you in one image. Oh, not that one. Let me get you the some sample images that I took from the phone, so you can see that I can absolutely do that. So this is one street photo that I did with my phone, and then so as you can see that this is no problem whatsoever about using your phone to take photos, and in fact, I think using a camera a camera phone like this, sometimes it can be quite discreet, because it's happening everywhere. People just got used to people holding this, doing things like this. Sorry, excuse me. So and because of that, and you will find out people are generally less suspicious about what you're doing. Where if, like holding this like this, or becoming like this. And I think you get my point. People can be, sometimes a bit more less wary when it comes to using a phone, and that way I getting a slightly more intimate shot. So just give you an example. And so like of course over time you will expand your system. And this shot I took, it was the gear setup or the gear collection I have about 3 years ago. This has expanded dramatically since then, because now I probably, I don't know, I have about 6 cameras and probably about 20 lenses now. And and so like the map that I show you here is expanded double, and on either side of the frame. And yeah, I probably need to do an upgrade just to show you guys what I have these days. But you will accumulate more and more lenses and accessory over time, because you starting working or starting to do your project, you'll find that you will need certain gears that you don't have previously, or only that lens can get you that shot, for instance. Not necessarily you need to have the whole entire collection of them, simply because a lot of people can be happy with just 1 or 2 lenses. And to be quite frank, most of the time when I go out and shoot for my client, I'll only use about 2, maybe 3 lenses max. And my most used lens is the 17mm 1.2 Pro, the one that I'm filming on right now, the 25 1.2 Pro, and the 40 to 150 2.8 Pro zoom. See, these are the 3 lenses I kind of use it so often on all my shoots. And occasionally, if I go out, I know that I'm going to do some like close-up portrait, 3/4 length or half-body portrait, that I will take my 45 millimeters, and then so that is slightly different. So let's see what Robin is saying. Weird pattern on the chair, fabric looks some funky moire. Thought right, is it from that previous shot? Let me have a look. I can't even remember what that was. And no, it's not. It's not a moire. It's actually the pattern. It's actually the pattern of the seat. Believe me or not, it's actually the bust. It's not moire at all. It was a fabric seat, and they had that pattern, which kind of make your eyes go funny. They have that a lot in the London buses. Some don't have the blue. This is the red version, and then they have the blue version as well. And okay, so I just want to show you some sample images, and let's go up here to see what is this shot here. Right, and these are some of the shots that I've done in locations, and using speed lights and cameras. And one of the best things or good things about Micro Four Third is actually it looks trippy. It is. Is that how portable it is, for everything that you do. You can just basically have a small backpack and carry everything that you ever need for a location shoot. And before I switched to Olympus, and I used to carry a much bigger bag just to hold my Canon stuff. And when you have to walk into the woods like this, in this scenario, in this photo here, if you have to walk into a location, and having this giant backpack and all the gears that you hold, like light stands and all the other stuff, it's a chore, just to get the gear in there. So by the time you reach the location, you're kind of half dead already before you even try to start the shoot. So like when I have the Micro Four Third gears, is like, oh my god, that was such a lifesaver, because I don't have to kind of exhaust myself before I get to location, and that is very great. So Trevor, you were saying 17mm 1.8 is great. Oh yes, absolutely. I mean, I really like that combo, and that combo is really good, and I really like that, because I do have both the 17mm 1.8 and the 1.2 version. The 1.2 is when I use for filming, and then also when I go out for a professional shoot, simply because I just rather have the 1.2, just in case lighting suddenly changed to very dark, then I can continue to shoot with a low ISO to get better quality. But when I going out just to walk about, let's say if I go out with my family, if I go out to travel, I would use the 17mm 1.8, and hence my number of lenses has increased dramatically, simply because I have a lot of different options for me. So I have the whole kind of trinity of prime lenses, the 17-25 and the 45 1.8 versions and the 1.2 version. So okay, the 1.2 obviously is the pro stuff that I go out and shoot professionally and get paid, and then the 1.8 version is actually when I go out personally. I don't want to like load up my bags and get too heavy, so that's the version that I usually go for. Similar for cameras, well, like I usually use by EM1 series, the X or the Mark III for my professional shoot, or for my personal stuff, I actually still using my Pen F, and I really love the Pen F. I don't know why. It's my type of camera that I really enjoy using, and almost really remind me of my Leica M6. That was a camera that I used a lot, during the film days, and it's just a great walk around lens, and sorry, not lens, I mean camera or setup entirely. Small, light, and still capable. Yeah, nothing more I can say. So so show you another photos that I've done. Right, this is one of the weather conditions that you may not be able to see in the photo, but it was actually raining very consistent. You know what? This is a proposal photo that I did last year, and it was raining really hard, and you can't quite see it, quite funny enough, and but if you blow it up, you'll see the raindrop. I was standing possibly about I don't know, 100 feet away. I was using a big lens. I didn't use the 40 to 150 2.8 Pro. I used the old 4/3 35 to 100 f2 zoom lens to take this shot with the EM1 body, and it was so wet, but my camera survived, the lens survived, because they're all weather sealed, like I mentioned. It's very important for a location shooter like myself to have a weather seal or rugged body, because I can get shots like this. I don't have to worry about waiting in a very wet condition. I just show you what this lens looks like, because it's huge. And right, let me just close this just temporarily and then show you that. So this is the lens I talk about, the one at the back, and this is the big massive 35 to 100 f2 zoom lens. It's a very massive lens here. It's f2, so it's a very bright lens. It will handle really brilliantly in low light. This focusing speed is not as fast as the newer 40 to 150, of course, and also being adapted to the Micro Four Thirds system, you have to use an adapter, so that slows it down further. So I would like to use a faster option, but in terms of focusing, when it comes to like for instance a proposal, you're stationary, you're staying still most of the time, just like looking at that, and so focusing speed is less of my worry. I'd rather have a bigger, wider aperture, faster beat to capture the action using faster shutter speed than having a faster autofocusing. So in this case, this worked brilliantly, and then I just love that setup. So okay, let's see what else you want to say, Trevor here, and you might like to take a look at this video of me going in the rain. Okay, all right. Engagement shoot when you get a chance. Okay, I shall check that out. No problem at all, and I will definitely check that and report back to you later. That's great. Thank you, Trevor. Okay, right. Let's see, Robin. Love the swan somehow. There are more romantic shots actually in that series, and I just showing you as one of the examples there. That's one that I could dig up and from my hard drive. There were many more from that particular photo shoot. I even took a shot how wet the camera was afterward, but I can't remember where that photo was. It was a legendary f2 zoom lens, because it is a super lens. I mean, if there is one thing I can talk about that lens is that is not an SWD lens. So when I said SWD, is the silence focusing motors. It's very loud when you're focusing that lens. Is like it's super loud. It's not for video for sure, yeah, unless you turn it into menu focus. But then is really loud. But apart from that, it's a great lens. It's very good for portraits. And then I don't know if I have a shot that I'll use that for portrait. But then let's see if I have anything here. No, I don't here at the moment. And also just one thing to tap into is that You know, there were a couple of people asking me about, you know, we discussed it over my over on my YouTube channel many times. Maybe Robin, you can also say something as well. Is that I had these people asking me about high ISO performances. You know, if I just show you this photo here, and this photo was shot in a wedding party, ISO 4000, and using the same lens, the 35 to 100 f2, using M1 Mark II. So this is ISO 4000 shot. You know, I don't see a problem shooting high ISO, and also it's all about exposures and, you know, how you judge your lighting, for instance. Ultimately, I don't see a major downside on using any system, and the problem usually is user error. I mean, I think the people just underexpose the shots too much, and they have to correct exposure in post and trying to boost it up. That's when they see all the noise pops out. To be frank, you know, like, I mean, full frame would have certain advantages when it comes to super low light shooting and high ISO performances. But as a photographer, I'm talking about, you know, if you're a proper genuine photographer who knows how to take a photo, you would know exactly what I mean about lighting. And when you see the light, you know how to expose to that light, and therefore you should be able to get a good shot regardless. And I would say that high ISO performances usually is my rescue shots only if I need to use the high ISO. If not, I would stick with my general, I don't know, you know, my maximum usually about 1632, kind of pushing it, and I don't go over that unless I need the shutter speed or just super dim, you know, in terms of lighting. That's all I can say about that. But in terms of Micro Four Thirds, once again, I'm trying to show you images when I want to say that, you know, there's absolutely no problem when achieving shallow depth of field and trying to get the look that you want. This was shot with the 45mm 1.8 on the EM1. This is EM5 Mark III. This one, this shot, I shot in Austria. So it's a fantastic shot there, and then I just always love to play around with foreground interest and to frame my subject. So this is the kind of thing that I like to do, and so yeah, I mean, I can't, you know, until people can see the shots or samples and photos that you take with the Micro Four Thirds properly, they wouldn't believe that, you know, that you can still achieve the same look on Micro Four Thirds compared to bigger format. And I mean, don't get me wrong though, you know, full frame has a certain aesthetic, especially shooting a wider angle in ultra wide aperture like 35mm 1.4 or 24 1.4. They do have certain look to it, but most of the cases, you know, you will get something very similar. You just have to work out your distance, work out your compression and the distance to your subject, and the, you know, everything. You know, as a photographer, you adapt to things, and not so much of this limitation. I showed that already. Again, this one, and a very simple silhouette shot of the city in Seville in Spain. I used a very simple RX105, a tiny point and shoot camera to achieve this shot. So nothing wrong with it. It's super cool, and it's something simple and romantic, I think, and it's something that I kind of enjoy doing every now and then, and especially when I have something a setup like this, you know, when you have a very super clean background in the back, there's no clouds behind, and I would have just some very simple buildings as the foreground interest, or just as a subject itself, kind of like breaks up the patterns a little bit. And yeah, I think this is a very cool shot. Okay, let's show you another one. I think I showed you quite a few already, and there you go. So this shot, if you compare to this one, I'm just trying to show you both. Okay, so same subject. Okay, I'm just gonna ask you quickly. I've got 1 minute left. So just one. Let me just slide across a little bit so you can see my face. And then so let me ask you guys, which one is a full frame? Which one is a Micro Four Thirds short? And I hope you guys can guess that right. And you can tell me which one it is and which one it isn't, and then you can have a look at yourself and see which one you think is shot from a Micro Four Thirds camera, which one is shot from a full frame camera. You know, to be honest, like I use many formats. I use APS-C, I use 1-inch, like I mentioned, RX105, I still have it. The Micro Four Third, medium format even, film cameras. I shot the same subject. I could achieve similar sort of look without, having to nothing. Both the Micro Four Third. Right, okay, that's cool. Okay, Robin has, oh, good morning, Ravinda. Okay, join session with. Okay, right, okay. Can't tell with those. Okay, right. Okay, you guys have guessed it. Right, I'm telling you now. So first of all, this is a Micro Four Third photo. This is full frame. And okay, so once just showing you both side by side again, and yeah, like I said, it's all about you. How you determine your shot, and how you frame your shot, and how you compose your shot, and how you place the subject matters most. And in terms of when you're coming back up to look at the photos itself, you can't really tell. And if I swap this photo out, if I swap this and give you this, for instance, you probably think that the one on the left is full frame, right? Because of the shallow depth of field effect. And then so I should have used this one actually. That would be slightly more tricky. And but that means that you will find that depth of field can be deceiving. Like people always think oh, full frame has everything, all the bokehs and stuff like that, but you'll find out as soon as you see that you can achieve similar look with a smaller system. That's not a problem whatsoever, and it's just depending on how you photograph it. And as a photographer, you adapt to system, just like in the old days, in the Grandmasters, only Cartier-Bresson was the first kind of guy who really popularized 35mm format, but when it comes to the photographer slowly moving from like 120 format to 135 format, like medium to full frame, today's terms, and then they need to adapt to it because people are so used to the look from a 120, and they just have to adapt to themselves to shooting 135 format. Similarly, like if you're a good photographer, you can adapt to any sort of format, and you know exactly what to do with that particular format. So that's good. And okay, cool stuff. Let's see what else I can show you just finally. And also I like to play around with effects. This shot also shot with Micro Four Third, and using some mirrors, prism, crystal balls, you name it. I just put it in front of my lens and just trying to figure out what I should be doing with my subject. This is Paulina there, and she's always looking as lovely as possible. And this just cool shot in the, I think this is shot in the indoor, very dim environment. And once again, about exposing the correct light, and so of course there was a spotlight on her face, so that was quite easy to expose, and then the rest are just trying to mess around with the composition a little bit of the reflection from different walls, because they have lots of different lights bouncing around. It's kind of interesting. So there we go, and I think my time's up already. I'm overrunning a little bit, so let me know exactly what you think about today's chat. And of course, don't forget that I have a daily stream between 11 to 11:30 every single day, and Monday to Friday, right here in my Facebook page is open, so everyone can see this live stream everywhere. I also have my buy me a coffee link right there, and you can see there, so you can offer me a coffee if you want, and that's simple as that. So click onto that, no registration required. You can just click on the button and buy me a coffee. Very simple. But it's all up this series, this kind of daily stream. It can be, the topics can vary from day to day. Today I talk a little bit camera, last week I was talking about images, I will be doing a bit of everything in a way, and just to get you guys into photography and filmmaking. So far I've done a lot in terms of photography. So slowly I will gonna start talking a little bit about filmmaking with the Olympus gear or in general, so they can start getting into it, learn a little bit more about photography and B-rolls and storytelling, all the other things that that will be good. So hopefully you guys are interested and happy about what I'm doing today, and also for this live stream. And also don't forget, I'm going to put the link after this live stream is finished, is that I have a live stream in my YouTube channel every Wednesday between 3 p.m. to 3:45 p.m. GMT London time. And so wherever you are, you may have to set the time zone difference and set the alarm if you want to check on it. Or simple is just go to my channel and put on the bell notification so you know when that live stream comes alive. Or stay tuned to my announcement, because I'll be doing a lot of announcement in the community page. So stay tuned for that. Thank you, Robin, and you too. Stay safe as well. Thank you, Ravinda. Thank you for joining the live session. Remember to join me again tomorrow, and I will be talking a little bit more. And prepare some questions if you want to, or even if you want to give me some images that you want me to comment on. I'm very happy. Look, this is completely free. I'm not charging anything for doing this every day. It just kind of get me going, and while I'm in lockdown situations, but people seem to enjoy it, especially my YouTube live, and so I may do this continuously depending how it goes. And so yeah, if you guys want to improve your photography, want to learn a little bit more about photography and filmmaking, I'm very happy to have a look at your stuff. And if you really want, and you want to participate, I would use your image to demonstrate here as an example. I can talk through it so people can learn more about photography as well, and so it's all good for me. You can just simply direct message me on Facebook, send me your stuff, photo or video, it doesn't really matter, and then I'm glad to have a look at them, and I will be commenting using constructive comments and techniques, so I can tell you a little bit more about how to improve based on that particular photo. I can even maybe do some editing on your photo just to see that before and after, to show you, what's the importance of editing itself. So hopefully that will be good. And thank you guys for joining me again this morning, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Yes, I'll think about a subject, and if you have anything in mind, you're very welcome to recommend. I'll put in my list. I will do something in the following days or weeks. So let me know. I'll see you guys, and stay good and well. Bye for now.